This meeting is called to order. It is 6:08. Today is Wednesday, May 14, 2025, and this is our regular YMPC meeting. Roll call.
Lawrence Arcaro, Robert Martinez, Gregorio Calvo, Joseph Cruz, Elizabeth Flickinger, Peter Frias, Jack Hattig,
Stig Butsu.
Jonathan McDermott,
Here.
Norma Salas, here. Peter Santos,
Guy Yigo.
Jerry Lynn Tennyson, present. Benito Torres. And we have, we have 6 present.
Okay, so we have a quorum. Before we proceed, we have the approval of minutes. Approval of minutes. Motion.
Motion.
I second.
Any objections? None, so ordered. Before we proceed, can I get a motion to proceed to new business? We have Mr. Frank Roberto, who is from the Walheim Property Permitting Solutions, who represents the Villanueva family, who is requesting for a summary zone change. Can I get a motion?
I so move. I second.
So, Mr. Frank Roberto.
You know, I prepared a lot for this presentation, but as I was sharing with them, I was at the center over by the church since 4 o'clock. And then I said, something's wrong here. Everybody's going to church. There's no so. What can we take away from that is, if you have a southerner coming up to do presentation, please check on him or her. I said, something's wrong here. So
Praying for your presentation that it goes well. That's why you.
Yes.
I used to live on Sergeant E. Cruz Street as well.
Up in Santa Rita?
That's where I grew up.
On the top?
Yeah.
I live on the bottom.
Right.
Or is it avalanche? So.
Yeah.
Frank, did you cause the avalanche?
No. After an avalanche, I didn't know why the ambulance would fly in and fly out at the same time. And then we found out that they couldn't go through. Anyways, the family that I represent is the Villanuevas, and it's a very, very simple summary zone change request. The house is there, it's already hooked up to sewer, and the only reason why they want them to do a summary zone change is because they wanted an extra power meter. And if the house is not rezoned to R2, they're not able to do it. So, again, like I said, everything is there. We're not clearing property. We're not, there's a whole bunch and I was asking, Mayor, correct me if I'm wrong on that, what is that road that goes in there?
I believe that's Taurus?
Taurus, yes. Because I found out when I was at land management this afternoon, because Frank Titano, that's where his family's from there too.
Yes.
All that house used to belong to Richard Columba.
Columba, yes.
Yeah, and now the daughter. So anyways, I'm a visual kind of person because, so you drive in there, this is the house. When you drive into Torres Street, it's on the right side. And, like I said, everything's already hooked up. They're hooked up to sewer. And the only thing is, they're surrounded by R2 with other apartment buildings, and there's quite a distance in there. So this is really in a nutshell, requesting for a favorable response for this family, just to get the resolution to have their property rezoned to R2 so they could get a 2nd meter and turn that thing into a duplex. food, that thing right after, or that barbecue place, and I ate over there, I said, something's wrong here. But, yeah, so really this is in a nutshell, I'm not sure.
And it's for the structure that I see in the front? Is it for the structure, or is it?
It's for the whole, there's the house here in the front, and then when you go inside, there's stairs that go up to the
Okay.
second floor. Yeah. It's really cut and dry. It's very, one of the simplest. It's just sad that they have to wait, you know, right now they're going with rate to do, not the rate, but the wait. You're looking at 5 to 6 months for some reason.
Wow.
You know,
That's long.
that is long.
Would you happen to know how many square feet the rezone?
It's 1,200. It's a 1,200 square meter property. Yeah. And I believe the mayor said that you have the booklets or something.
Yes.
Yeah. But it's, I got one about September because I don't have no copy. I mean, if you want me to read this, I can.
So, I know copies was provided via email to,
Electronically, yeah.
just to review.
Yeah.
So basically, the family purchased the property with the existing structure on it. The original landowner passed, the daughter sold, they bought it, but it was never in compliance with the zone.
That's right.
So, just to bring it up to compliance.
Yes.
As it's a 2-story duplex.
Yes.
So,
Yes, it is.
so that's the summary zone change application.
I mean, there's quite a few, you know, I have like 30 other clients that it's already an apartment building. Already people are staying there, who is paying, but, I mean, we're paying them, but, and they're hooked up to sewer. But this one client of mine, actually, GPD, he said, you know what, I better just do the rezone. Because something can happen later on and says, hey, you know, because back in the days, people would get 2 power meters or all that stuff, but yet they're not in compliance with the rezoning, and then they get caught, like a GPA, and was, hey, we don't see that you're R2 rezone
Right.
and stuff, and that's just a world of hurt. I really feel bad for them. You know, it's not a new, you know, after layout, this is the first R2 of this whole property, and these are the other things that is involved. Now, this one's just to get their power meter and first get into compliance.
And just to add, there's properties also in the area that are already R2.
Yes.
Further down the street, there's apartment complex.
Yes.
Where's this at? What part of Yigo?
This is in Verdali, behind
Oh,
the
okay.
gas station.
Behind the where Matumba Avenue
Yes,
is.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
There's a Verdali.
Verdali
We
subdivision
call that area.
behind,
Behind
Down-
the gas
down
station,
the
yeah.
side,
There's Berdallo subdivisions everywhere.
There's 2 Matumba areas. There's where I live, and then the one right behind
Matago
the gas
Avenue's
station.
right there, and then
Yeah.
you take the left on the Taurus.
yeah, so again, there's several properties in that area that
Yes,
are R2,
yes.
and then there's the apartment complex down the street, so.
Yes, and
This
it's
is not the
fairly
first.
new, the one huge complex and stuff, so.
I don't see any problems or issues, but I would say, you know, that I have seen at least one family that were in a similar situation, and they were siblings living in the duplex, and there's only 1 meter, and there's always fights about the power
yeah.
bill and who's using
Yeah.
more power, and so, you know, that's why it's best to have 2 power meters so that there's no argument. And if one doesn't pay and their power gets cut off, then so be it. The other guy still has power.
Yeah, and that's, you know and that, it's just the fact
on the environmental impact assessment, but you stated that there's already people living there.
There's already people living there, and they're already connected to sewer.
So it's just.
I think they just want to, like I said,
Just.
less arguments, let's have our own meter at our house and,
Yeah.
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 But that is a very good question. Only it's really asked when there's nothing yet there.
Yeah.
No houses, nothing. They just want to have it rezoned. And then you ask about, the impact assessment on that. Yeah, that makes a big difference on that question.
Any other questions? No questions?
It's a duplex, your sewer connection, you're in an area that has multiple apartment complexes.
Yes.
I don't see any issue.
Yeah.
Anybody else? No?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Gerber,
Thank
for
you, sir.
coming out. I know it's quite a drive, but, thank you.
Oh, no. But the other thing, aside from this conversation, I come up here and I said, oh, gee, you live here?
He was stationed with my dad in the Marines in Hawaii.
In Hawaii?
He was, were you the one that got in trouble?
No comments.
Yeah.
My dad was a top NCO, and these guys are just privates coming in.
And then we just had a conversation about you today, and it was very good.
Oh,
With big Dwayne's, just to let you know.
oh, good to
Mr.
hear.
Hatchet,
Thanks, sir.
I know you.
Long time.
And I was telling Francis too that, John, those guys down there in TV, I know, because we're all fishermen.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Mr. McDermott, the Fufugu.
And
I said, what are you to the McDermotts that come down to Molesto? And then he said, is that your mom on the ocean side where the cement boat is at? And it's true, that's where my mom stayed. Both my stepdad and my mom have passed away. But I remember the McDermotts would come down to the properties, they go spearfishing together, they live in Panama. Yeah. So anyways, but thank you so much. I really appreciate this.
No, thank you again for coming out to, answer the questions that the council have. And,
Yes. Okay.
I'm sure that we'll be meeting more often.
Yes.
right?
There's a couple more.
Gotta be more planes. Yeah, especially Yigo. Okay.
At least you know where it's at now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you again.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Hey,
Take
guys.
care, right?
Basta natawag ko sa Mr. McDermott.
Drive safe, huh?
He gets the trip.
So,
See her? No. Huh? See her?
Yes.
No, he's much better.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's okay.
See, I'll come right before I leave.
Yes. Oh, I see. Sure.
be safe.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving on to, item 4 of the agenda, treasurer's report. So because, we still don't have an account, however, we do have, a fee that's called the civil wedding. So every wedding that we perform is $50 and it's required. And that is, reported as non-appropriated funds. So, the total amount that has been collected, February was $50, March was $250.
Oh, that's a lot of
April
money.
was
That'll
$200.
be the
I've been busy.
Yes.
Everybody's getting married.
Love is in the air. Oh, sorry.
So the total fee for civil weddings that has been collected, as of the end of April was $500. I
Wow.
will still have May.
Right.
I do have some that's scheduled for this month. So with this, every month, we have to submit the report to the council, within, the 2 weeks of the following month. And so, the treasurer of the mayor's council, amongst the mayors and vice mayors, we turn the money in, he takes it and he deposits it into the account, and then he writes a check. So, because I'm still waiting for the IRS, initially when, so Bob Hoffman was one who helped with trying to get an EIN number. However, when he applied for the EIN to the mayor's office, it was under nonprofit. So, of course, the nonprofit, we have to do the bylaws, the
Right,
constitutions, and then go to revenue tax and fill out the
All the
100
forms.
pages of
Yep.
forms. So, what I did was I reapplied, but under government entity.
Yeah.
So I'm still waiting for the EIN number. I requested via email, but I haven't gotten it. So I'm hoping to get that sometime this month, if not next month. When I do get that, already the bank is just waiting on that. They have everything else. So once I get that, I will go to the bank, establish the account, and then all this money that is collected will get deposited.
Does the council members get discount if we do a civil wedding?
Sorry about that. That's a required. Believe me, there's some couples that just come in and want to get married on the spot.
Dang.
And so I have Serena telling them, did you tell them about the fee?
Mm-hmm.
The fee, the marriage license?
It's not my fee, it's island-wide, it's a required fee that they have to pay. And so, as you can tell, I'm pretty busy. So, yes, this money will be deposited into the bank account once we establish the account. Also, Easter, we had Island Sports Association, Inc., which is affiliated with COI, Rafi at Vincula, and also Guam Contractors Basketball League, GCBL, who was using the gym for their league. So I solicited from them donation for Easter, and both of them responded. So of the two, total donations was $1,000.
Wow.
So aside from the $500, $1,000
Nice.
will get deposited, so $1,500 altogether in the non-appropriated funds. So, that's just, until such time we get the account open. Any questions? No questions? Okay. So,
Oh, I'm sorry, Mayor. May I make a motion to reflect for the attendance purposes, Council Member Lawrence Alcairo is present, for any voting purposes, if any.
okay, so, on this treasurer's report, any questions? No, motion, can I get a motion?
So moved, Madam Mayor, for approval.
Okay, there's a motion.
Second.
Okay, any objections? No objections? So ordered. Moving on to mayor's report. So, we've still been, putting in requests for new street lights and repairs. We did one, for installations along Back Road. As you know that area is pretty dark, and with the recent accidents that's happening, so along Route 1 and 15. So if you're entering Yigo on the right side, so we were told that we're not allowed to put GPA is not allowed to put street lights on there because that belongs to the military, the power
Federal.
plants.
Oh.
Yeah.
However, if you look further down towards White Pawpaw, there are street lights on that side.
Yes.
So, the lieutenant governor said put it in, and we'll see.
You see what happens, as long as you're
Yeah.
outside the fence.
So,
Outside
but
their
if
fence.
you're heading north on the right side,
Right.
those power poles belong to the military.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I don't know what the reason is that we're not allowed, or GP is not allowed to put streetlights, but if you look at the other poles heading down,
Yeah.
there are streetlights.
Yes.
So I make sure I'm watching I'm looking at all the streetlights or the poles coming up, so I see some streetlights and, I don't know if they're not being consistent, so, I went ahead and put in the request and hopefully, GPA is able to put in those, streetlights. Also, guardrails. I requested for installation of guardrails on Route 15. If you're heading north, it's just before the raceway entrance. Because if you notice, there's a ravine that's like maybe a 20-foot drop. So if nobody knows or, whatever the reason and run up the roadway, they're gonna go
They
down
lose
there. Nobody's
control,
gonna
they're going
see them.
down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I requested for guardrails there and also to replace, or not replace, reinstall the guardrails that they removed at Gajanero.
West Kensington,
For Upper Gajanero, right above Mariana Stairs, because if you notice, there's 3 homes there that are right by the road. So should a vehicle run off the road,
right into the garage.
they may hit the homes that's there, or if there's anybody outside.
Right.
So what they did was they put up the cement barriers, but even with that, what are the chances, depending on how fast the person's going, is that going to prevent them from going into the yards? So there were guardrails, however, they were removed because of extensive damage that was done due to accidents. So that was sent in March 12th. Oh, I'm sorry, no, April 30th. I still haven't gotten a response from the director at DPW. So I'm still following up on that. And then March 12th, a memo was sent to DPW requesting if there was any assessment or a feasibility study that was done on the East Gajanero and Marianas Terrace flooding. Because as you know, the rainy season is coming up, and so, and then also to avail ourselves with any funding that we may get from the federal. I'm looking at those angles to hopefully mitigate those problems. I know with that request, it was because of the brick funding. However, unfortunately, I received an email from the State Hazard Mitigation officer that funding is no longer available. It's been suspended indefinitely. All these cuts with the federal, by the president, well, brick is one of them, and no future fundings from that. So, next step would be the CDBG DR funding.
Right.
And that is through GURA. Another thing is, so today, commodities were picked up at the Delaware warehouse. 8 pallets allotted for Yigo, however, still pending 2 pallets that is pending arrival here. We're the first to pick up those commodities for the month. So what happens is we would have to bag those. I don't know how many cases on a pallet, but these are canned goods. And so it's just a matter of getting them together, bagging it, and then scheduling a date for distribution. More than likely, we will do partial distribution to like the Gilbreeze or Gilbaza, up that area, and also to, Gilbreeze. I know that they've always done distribution at the gym, but, you know, I like to reach out to these other areas as well. And also the, Manampus who, are homebound. You know, if you guys know of anyone, please let us know, call the office. We'd like to reach out to them, because, we don't know who they are unless, we get a call. Abandoned vehicles. So GPD has an abandoned vehicle task force. On Monday, they are meeting at GPD's headquarters, and this is in reference to procedures on issuing the citations. Of course, we as mayors and vice mayors, well, at least the new ones, we're not allowed to do the issuance because we have not been trained. We have not gotten the training on that. However, Mayor Alec has requested for the judiciary to provide that training. So once that's done, once that's scheduled, definitely we will be attending that because if you notice, a lot of the vehicles are now, you know, we see a lot of abandoned vehicles along the road.
Right along the side of the road. now.
Yes, and so what we've been doing is we just get the information and we shoot it to EPA, but you know, I mean, I'm not getting a response from EPA either, so I don't know what good it is to send it there and nothing happens. So what I did, at least for the one in the back row, was the one across Villa Casita. I told the guy, I said, if you don't remove it, I'm having GPD cite you. Well, he dragged the car into his yard. So, you know, and I think that's the only way we can at least take care of some of the issues when it comes to this, because the other thing that they're doing is they're burning the vehicles.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, and it's not just along the easements, but even on Chamorro Land Trust property.
Correct.
So, you know, we get called for that, and so we can't really do anything because we don't have the information. So,
Well, there might be a light at the end of the tunnel. I'm hearing that it's already here. There's a car crusher
Question? Yeah.
that,
so, yes, there is a car crusher, but who's going to operate it? We still don't know. They don't know who's, yeah.
They just bought it, shipped it, and nobody knows how to operate it?
That's what I'm hearing,
Oh, wow.
is that nobody knows how to operate it and who's going to operate it. So I don't know if that's true. I'm hoping that it's not. And,
well, usually when they buy a piece of equipment like that, then they'll have a technician come out and,
Some kind of field operator, field something.
yeah. So going back to the abandoned vehicles, so the council,
Fred,
Oh, sorry. Yeah, just to clarify. So the car crusher was purchased with GPA money, but it's going to be operated under GSWA. So it's going to be
solid
housed.
waste,
But yeah, I'm sorry.
solid waste, no
Yes,
solid waste.
So there's there.
Oh, okay, thank you for that. Yeah, we're just hearing, oh, they got this, but nobody knows how to. like,
so
use it.
they do have someone coming in to teach?
Yeah, yeah. So actually, it's someone from Urban Select has it's a team there,
Oh, okay.
so they know how to operate it.
Oh, okay, okay.
I hope they teach like at least 5 or 6 people, so at
Yeah.
least you have that on hand to run the crusher.
Another thing is, so if you're familiar with the property going into 7055, so that portion is gated off.
Where's that at?
This is the one where bus satellite, where all the illegal dumping was
Oh,
happening.
the one by the gym behind?
Right behind the
Okay.
gym, yes. So today, or yesterday, I got a memo from DPW director requesting that we clean up that area. And mind you, this is the easement that takes you to the back, so on both sides. I don't know how, Bus Satellite got into the picture, but my understanding is Bus Satellite property is within that fenced-in area. So all this, junk and whatever that's there is outside the fence because of some project that they're trying to do. So we, Ethan went down to land management because I know for sure that that doesn't belong to the Bus Satellite. But I guess when he was doing his research, it was mentioned that I think DPW is planning to use that area as a staging site for all the abandoned vehicles that's collected island-wide.
Whoa.
Exactly, that's
Whoa.
my expression also is like, wait a minute.
We have the aquifers up here and
Yeah,
it's
that's
protect our
not
water.
very
Yes.
nice.
And so, I'm glad that you mentioned that because 7055, although I mentioned it's a 43-acre property, there was a law that was passed back in the 22nd that reserved 29 acres for GWA water wells.
So,
So, already there is a well there. GWA is going to do exploratory on that property that was reserved. And so their take is you can't use it to store because, again, the aquifer.
The aquifer is
Yeah.
the gas that's
Which
gonna
I'm
be
glad
the
that that's their stand on it because, first of all, I go back to all those tires that were at TZN is now up here in Yigo. If you're heading to the gym, the corner lot, just before you get to GPA, it used to be IBC, it's behind the bus stop.
Yeah.
So,
That's
you look
where
at
it's
that,
all.
it's barricaded. My understanding is they took all those tires and they put it there.
Oh, gosh.
Yes. And why?
That'll be a
I-
disaster if there's a brush
I don't
fire
know
and
why.
it catches.
Yeah.
Because I
So close to the
I
power
would
plant,
not
too.
have
Yeah,
authorized that, I'm
substation.
sorry. Now you're turning Yigo into a dumping ground.
Yeah.
Right.
And then now this whole thing with abandoned vehicles as using that as a staging site, yeah. No. So, that's one of the things that we kind of found out today. And I'm going back to Vince's letter and wondering what project are they talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
So definitely I will respond to his letter, and really find out what project are they talking about because, not the abandoned people staging site. And with that, the mayor's council, we are still trying to get the contract for the recycling revolving plan that will fund the removal of these abandoned vehicles and white goods. So we're still waiting on that. Last was that it's at the AG's office. So that was last month. So I don't know how long it's going to be there. I don't know how soon we'll actually get the contract, but I'm also hearing that it's only one contractor that will be permitted to remove these junk vehicles. So, if it's just a one contractor, is that one of those that we're gonna have to wait months for it to go
Right.
to Yigo?
That's
They're
nice.
servicing
Yeah.
whole island?
Perfect.
Yeah, island-wide, yeah.
That's a superb deal.
That needs to be looked into.
Yeah.
But, with the abandoned vehicles, and again, Mayor Alec did request for training for citations, because I think the next step, while we're waiting, is we're just gonna start issuing citations, and especially those that, impede the travel portions, housing development, housing areas like Misho, Gura, Pacific Latin, because, they're not supposed to be operating any, auto repair, because it's a housing,
Yeah.
so,
506.
yeah,
Yep.
so, those are
That
the
guy that's
areas
right
that
next to the
I
dog
would
park
like
and the
to
basketball court.
take care of, because I think that has been long-standing issue there, so citations, for these, owners is something that I'm really adamant about. It's been just too long, you know, also Cabeza, I went there
Where the four-way is?
with a
Oh,
four,
yeah.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
So, I know I did request, Chamorro Land Trust, to look into it because, in speaking with the wife of the person who stays there, that those are all her husband's, junks. So,
Yeah, but it's right there on that side.
yes, and
And
that's
he's
one,
not the original
and he's
land
not the
trust.
original,
Right.
He's
leasing.
technically squatting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just squatting in there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so, any questions? Okay, moving on to, finance. For our general fund for the mayor's office, of course, we started out at 28,555.79. Our balance is 11,519.21. Now, sometime, 2 months ago, I had inquired about, because there was the law, it's the supplemental that would give every village 47,000. So that finally went through, last month. And so on top of the 11,519.21, there's an additional 47,000. So of course the balance, for that one would go up to 58,519.21. And then the one educational facilities fund, our beginning balance as of January was 62,427.86. A balance of 27,765.11. The limited gaming fund, we started off with 18,470. We have not made any expenditures on this because at one point, this funding was suspended. So now that, we're back on track, I did mention to Ethan that we're going to start, procuring things that we need, although we've already done, procurement for the whole year, to last us for the year as far as supplies, but, I'm looking at things that we can use for next fiscal year, because, you know, we don't want them to say, you have this money and you're not using it, so it tells me that you don't need it.
You don't need it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so believe me, there's a lot of things that, we'd like to purchase, except there's just not enough money, you know, but, you know, with equipment wise.
Yeah.
But as far as supplies and small equipments, we're able to, and so we're slowly, trying to get, price quotes, or well, we call it market research. So, we're getting that from vendors, and definitely we will, get what's needed and, do the procurement. Definitely before the end of the fiscal year. And then, the digital buffer strip. So last month, the overall balance that was reported was 347,070. Well, so that amount has been updated. So the amount went up to 497,460. So for Yigo's share, which is 1/3, is 165,820. So we did the allotment. The allotment schedule, because we have to provide the mayor's council on that in order for them to do the establishment of account with DOA. So most of the money we put into capital outlay, which is the 450, only because we're looking at purchasing a tractor mower. Although we do have 2 riding mowers, we'd like to purchase a tractor mower that will also take care of some of the more challenging areas and some other equipment that will be useful for the maintenance as well. So 165,820 dollars. So, capital outlay, I believe is, I allotted for 50,000, or, I'm sorry, 80,000. 80,000, and then, 40,000 for contractual. And that's so that, I'm looking at, contracting, maintenance, lawn maintenance, to help the guys with the grass cutting, because, although we have currently, 7 positions, still that's not enough to go out there and, maintain the village, as it should be. So, we're looking at contracting out some of the grass cutting. And so if any of you know anybody, we have 2 companies already. We're just looking for a 3rd one, or even possibly a 4th one. And that will definitely help the maintenance guys. The Yigo Gymnasium revolving fund. So of course there's no account that has been established because there's no funds that was collected. Although there is a proposed fee schedule that will charge for all facilities, the gym, the outdoor basketball court, the softball field, whatever facilities we have, and on that proposed schedule, and I didn't provide a copy only because there were some changes. It also included canopies, chairs, tables, whatever equipment that we have, and mayor's verification. But, of course, the people that come in for mayor's verification are the ones on public assistance. So, I wouldn't want to charge them $1, So that was removed from the proposed fee schedule. But other than that, all the other fee schedules, proposed fee schedules for the outdoor basketball court, the gym, softball field, we're still going with that. So rural, they have the CDBG-DR funding. That is one of the funding that I'm looking at for the flooding issues at East Janeiro and Mariana Stairs, to see what we can do to mitigate that. Because those are the 2 areas that constantly get flooded during heavy rainstorms or disasters. So they have contacted the office requesting to use the Yigo Gym for their community briefing, and that is on Thursday, May 22nd, 6 p.m. There is a flyer that they sent, and so that was posted on the Yigo chat. And that's for Thursday next week, May 22nd, 6 p.m. Okay, and then, so I was looking at, because the kids get out of school next week, Friday is their last day. Yes. So we're trying to come up with summer programs and sports for them. So Futsal gave us a packet that they're proposing from June 21st to July 26th. For those of you who don't know what futsal, it's indoor soccer.
Indoor soccer.
So this is another popular sports that I believe Denville Sports Complex does.
Yeah.
So they gave us a packet, and that's their proposed dates. June 21st to July 26th, and they're looking at, they requested to use the gym. But what I'd like to do is, I'd like to come up with a flyer and get the kids, if we can get the kids to come out and let's form a team, 1 or 2 teams, and if anybody knows how to coach, because,
Soccer's not my sport.
Volleyball, Lawrence, volleyball. For me.
We'd like to,
Volleyball with your feet, volleyball.
we'd like to get that, started, and we'd like the kids to get involved. Another one is the basketball, jamboree, for ages 7 to 11 and 12 to 15. Rafi Abinkula from the, Island Sports Association is willing to coordinate and run this league. It's just a matter of getting, coaches.
Mm.
I know there's like maybe 2 coaches that we have in mind who are, coaching, one coaches, I'm sorry, I take that back. He coaches at FB and I think also Dominican. And so, I did speak with, Zan Mapola, who is a referee. She says that if you give, the flyer to, what is it? Guam
Basketball
Basketball
Confederation.
Confederation.
Yeah, GBC.
They can shoot it out, and if we're requesting for coaches, looking for
Mhm.
players, we shoot it out, and
Yeah.
they're able to assist us.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Abinkula is willing to coordinate, schedule, and run this league.
Good luck to you all.
Yes.
know, right?
The only thing is, he suggested, because it involves the trophy and referees, referee is the most expensive
Expensive.
one.
Yeah. Officials.
Yeah, so
And minimums
he suggested a registration fee of $600.
per team.
Yeah, per team.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say, what?
Yeah, per team.
Yeah.
And.
Well, yeah, that will cover, I think, for the
Because
league.
he says, it's an average of $100 a day.
Well, if you negotiate with the referees, you can negotiate down to books, like 35, floor 45. So,
So,
combined,
Yeah.
yeah. Something to that effect.
yeah, so he's willing to do that. I even, mentioned, because we have the educational, funds, which will allow for purchase of uniforms for the kids.
Mhm.
You know, depending on how many kids we have, we're willing to, the money's there, it's for their use, you know. We can purchase the, uniforms for them. You know, maybe just, charge the parents $20. I know the basketball uniforms run like $60, $70.
Mhm.
If you go to these vendors, Fran, they can, you can negotiate with them, it just depends on how much you order, because there's lots of vendors now who do uniforms. So the average price sometimes is $25 for a jersey or like a set. You can, and I'm sure the guy that you're talking about that's willing, he knows it. There's lots of vendors now, it's not like just one where they can jack up the price.
Right.
There's lots of vendors that you can negotiate with now.
So, you know, my thoughts is, okay, the uniform, it's like $60 to $70. Okay, maybe we can, okay, parents, just $20, we'll cover the difference, and the $20 can use towards the expense for, the referee or, what is it, what is it? The referee?
The
no,
scorecard.
trophies.
Oh, the trophies,
Yeah,
yeah.
trophies. So, yeah, that's basically, and then also we talked about volleyball. So, we want to get, you know, again, the kids, you know, we want to do, we thought, okay, how about we start out with intramural?
Oh, yeah.
But then we figured, okay, how about we open it up to the other villages? You know, how growing up, we would go to the different villages to compete.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I want these kids to experience that, you know, not just hang out in Yigo and, you know, play against each other. How about, you know,
Inter-village
because,
play.
you know, to me, I look at it as it's going to be more fun for them because they're challenging another village.
Different villages.
You know, yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought about that, opening it up to the other villages. So again, if any of you know any coaches, futsal, basketball, volleyball. We also talked about softball. Although we don't have the lights, we Saturday, Sunday games.
Day games.
You know, day games, right.
Yep.
So, yes, we talked about softball, for the adults, but I'm thinking, you know, the kids used to have T-ball and the pitching machine, you know, so that's something that I like to bring back for the kids.
Yeah.
So, these are things that, we're just trying out, especially because the summer's coming up. Any questions so far? No? Okay, so last one is the schedule of events. So the Mayor's Council had asked for a proposed schedule of events for the year. This is basically what a rundown of what came to mind that we'd like to do. Definitely, we're already in May, so the anticipated for May 30, we won't do that until next year. Only because they already have the luncheon that's happening, that is being hosted by the legislature on, I believe, the 21st or the 22nd of Dusit. And then because we also had the luncheon last month for that, it was a combined luncheon, Chamorro, Easter, and of course they were celebrating birthdays, so you know it was a perfect timing. So definitely for May, we will postpone that till next year. But other than that, all the other events, July, October, November, and December, those are what I anticipate. And if there's any other events that you guys would like to incorporate, I'm open, you know. Any suggestions, any ideas, we'd be grateful. Because, you know, this is our first year and we want to.
Maybe in one of the months that's not here yet is the festival. Bringing back maybe next year we plan on bringing back the Yigo festival. And what I know we talked about it in the last meeting. What's going to be our what's going to be our right mascot or theme? Right? Is it going to be right? So
What is Yigo
maybe
known for?
maybe in the schedule of events we'll plug in the month that we're not doing anything. Right?
So I'm glad you brought that up because when I was doing this listing, you know, if you look at the back to school bash, so my idea was because the carnival rides, you know, I like to bring that back. You know, as part of the back to school bash, you know, the kids, this is your end of the summer fun, you know, kind of thing. So we don't necessarily have to do it on July. We can do it outside of between August and September, you know. But yeah, that's an idea. Again, bringing back the carnival rides. You know, that's something that I don't think any village has done so far.
No.
So
Well, they had the Mango Festival recently, but there was no carnival rides there, I don't think.
yeah,
I
so
hope it's not the same ones from when I was a kid, because I don't know if that's still safe.
no, I'm pretty sure they're
The
replaced.
zipper and the
Those are all replaced.
remember that?
Little kids roller coaster.
Yeah, the little one. Yeah.
But yeah, you know, if you guys have any ideas, you know, let's incorporate
That's
it
good.
and, you know, let's brainstorm on how we're going to start it up. And,
It's not an annual event, but I remember vaguely that they used to do it's either a weekend or a night market over by the gym.
Yeah.
And then, you know, someone recently told me that they don't go to Derrida's flea market anymore because they upped it to $30
Yeah. Spot.
a spot.
Oh.
So, yeah. So, I don't know if that would be something to explore. Because I think recirculating stuff, you know, people bring rummage stuff.
Yeah.
That's good for you know, the environment and for our people.
Night market and food truck
Food truck night?
food truck Friday, I
Something
don't know.
like that.
Ooh, I like that idea. Food
I think
truck
the only difference between now and then was our biggest issue when we were doing the night market was power. I remember when we were doing the night market was getting secure power, and then I don't know if we ended up just running a lot of extension cords. So that if we brought that back, but nowadays most of the food trucks are kind of like they're all
Self-contained.
self-contained.
They have their own solar lights
They have their
up
own
and
generators.
generators.
But for the smaller food stuff, that would be something we take into consideration, how to provide power to them.
Yeah, we could do that. The only thing is if they were to vend any food, they would have to get health certificate.
Correct, sanitary
Yeah.
permits.
So
yeah,
I
health
remember when we
certificates.
were doing the Fiesta Carnival,
Mhm.
and we would have to be the one to do the application, or they would fill it out, we would do the application, turn it in, and we would do all the legwork and making sure that we got the health certificates for these vendors. That's the only thing. I don't wanna go into that, because that takes a lot in itself.
Yeah.
As far as the application, submission, and then, following up. So, if they have their own, health certificate, then they won't need one.
Yeah, so I mean, it would be open to like the food trucks or for businesses, right?
Right.
So it'd be like a food truck rally, right, for the food vendors,
Oh, okay, I see.
and then, but just just for like, because it'd probably be like an evening nighttime event, so just like part for like the booths.
Oh, okay, we're talking about like game booths.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just regular stuff. I mean, it would be super cool if we could combine both, right? If we're gonna do the back to school bash, we do it together like with the food truck rally, and then we can provide games and stuff for the kids. I don't know what kind of rides are. I mean, I don't know if Pitter's still doing his mini carnival stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, he would be
The rock
the
climbing
ones to
thing,
kind of contact for that stuff, and then we could just put together simple like the little duck thing, and we could just get prizes and stuff for that, and then that could be our kind of thing, one to contribute, which is simple games.
Are you talking about that for the back to school thing or the?
Back to school, they're thinking about they brought it up as far as the night market thing, but that would be a good launch for that, where we kind of do the back to school plus
Start
that.
small kind first and then.
Yeah, so I mean, we would piggyback. So the thing, right, is just providing multiple avenues for people to come, right? Not just the food trucks, but people are gonna come for the kids for the games and stuff, and that way we can get enough crowd, right? Because the problem with starting any type of outside night market is just your initial one. Because when we try to restart the night market after it closed, it didn't get enough traction. Just because it stopped for a while, then it came back, and I was more my family was a vendor, so we saw that when it stopped and it came back, there wasn't enough traction. When they brought it back, it was Fridays. So if we're gonna do something like this, if we did a launch where we had like a mini carnival thing for the kids, plus a food truck rally, plus the games and stuff, and then we just did it like on a weekend kind of thing, and then see how it went there for a test run. The only thing that would be expensive on the cost side would be the pitter and stuff, and then the booths and the prizes and stuff. But I mean, we can just start off as a food truck rally as just a test run and see where it goes. But because all you gotta do is provide them the space, and be cheaper than Dorito.
Yeah.
I think the outreach too is very important. That's what we saw lacking in the past night markets is that it wasn't really
Advertising, yeah.
It's just kind of like if you know kind of thing. So I think that's how we really push it out. Because all of us, I don't have any social media things. So we can tap into stuff like that.
Maybe creating like like the current Guam stuff, like basically your more content online, I guess. So do like a village calendar that's online that we can kind of just push, and we already have the events and stuff, and then we can just, I can volunteer to do the videos for it and stuff. So.
Yeah, so, as a matter of fact, the back to school bash, that's what my initial thought was, getting all these food trucks out there. And then, of course, likewise with the Halloween, what's it, the Monster Bash.
Yeah.
We talked about doing a Monster Bash and getting all these food trucks as well, but also doing a haunted house in the gym. It's a big enough gym that we can accommodate the haunted house and at the same time, kind of like a dance for the kids,
Yeah.
So, yeah, these are good ideas and it's just a matter of planning it and implementing it. So, if anybody here would like to incorporate any other ideas that was aside from what was mentioned, please, I'm open, and then if any of you would like to spearhead any of these events, not everybody raise your hand at the same time.
I have a question about the Halloween stuff. So, like on an island, right, we all have, pretty sure everyone's going to try to do something on the same day, right? Is there like a wider coordination with the rest of the mayors to not conflict and or collaborate so that it's kind of.
That's an idea, yes, we can bring that up at the council meeting.
Because there used to be like these neighborhoods that you would go to where like Arvada Heights or Big One.
Yeah, traditional
But it's really like dying
housing,
out.
yeah, just housing development
So
areas.
maybe it's safety, maybe it's something else, but if, because I remember as a kid, right, going in the neighborhood and then driving to the next neighborhood, driving to the next neighborhood, so if we could coordinate something like the northern neighborhoods and the central neighborhoods, so that's not like competing for resources, because like, we have like food vendors, food trucks, don't want all of them to be at one place.
No, that's a good idea because yes, especially everybody wants to do their own Halloween bash or whatever on Halloween.
Yeah.
But doesn't mean that we have to do ours on Halloween. I mean, yes, that's the whole purpose. But to ensure that we're not competing with anybody else. We're not competing with any other village.
Right. So I went to one at Yigo, and I was surprised. It was jam packed.
There's not that many places to go for when you have kids. Like, I mean, you have Barragata Heights, and like before for the north side, right, it was Paris Acres. Paris Acres, you have to have someone that lives there now to get in. They don't open the gates anymore. And then Hyundai. Hyundai Santa Rita for the south, but even at that, it's not the same, So
Hyundai Santa Rita, Nimitz Hill, Mariana's Terrace for the north, like up here.
It's just candy's so expensive, so everybody's looking for something that's and possibly just a little safer and less walking,
Yeah. But also, looking at doing a trunk or treat. Any resident who wants to participate in this, it's open. We're not going to charge. Just come and,
decorate the back of your
right,
truck.
and it's a way where all the kids, they just walk around and, they're not out there in the streets, they're there, and then at the same time, we're doing the bash inside,
We give the members of the community
that's
an
something that,
opportunity to get their
definitely
kids.
I'd like to do. Anything else?
Mayor, I just wanted to give some ideas for our festival. I don't know, I've just been throwing things around. When I was a kid, I used to go down to a place called Lunton Antigua. I don't know if you guys remember that.
I went
but
there. Yeah.
Lunton Antigua was maybe something along the lines of that, celebrating the ranch, the Chamorro Ranch or the Chamorro Farm, right, or a Yigo Farm Festival, where because nowadays the young kids they don't know the meaning of that anymore, right? What we did to plus it goes in line with a lot of our self-sustainable, right? We're looking at self-sustainable growth and agriculture, right? The governor's initiatives on aquaculture, so that we could have a Hanum festival, right? You know, we have a place called Hanum. Water is up here, the natural aquifer, so it could be a water festival. That could be very interesting. EFIT grows up here in the north, and you know we had our master, the late master carver, right, Robert Tactino, right? So we could have an EFIT festival with a lot of carving and a lot of woodwork and a lot of just getting people back into the culture, right, of you know our ancestors. And finally, you know, there's a lot of fire in Yigo, right? I mean, so maybe the Yigo Fire Festival, right, where we educate people about fire and its uses, right? What we need to do. Fire dancing, right? We can bring some cultural groups in to do fire dancing with the poi balls and stuff like that. And it's, GFD could come and do something, you know, as part of prevention and mitigation, right? So these are all like great ideas that we don't have. It's not a fruit or anything like that or a vegetable, but this is how we live. This is our culture, and be connected back to our culture because, you know, like I said, we're losing our identity. The kids don't know, you know, and we can bring back the master series, you know, the master weavers and the master carvers and the stone makers and the fishermen the blacksmith. We could bring them back, right, and have that as our, you know, it's kind of like an all-encompassing thing. So I think that's really going to, you know, give us a good launching pad into.
I think the science especially about fire.
I know, right? See, yeah, well, right. Yeah, you know, I mean, fire prevention and learning how to create a berm, like what you guys did with DPW and the backhoe, and you know, protecting homes. These are things that are like information that the community can use, and not just Yigo community, but obviously people who want to come back up to Yigo and participate.
I think root there, right, is culture, right? So, definitely a culture fest was something that really
Right.
impressed. It could, not to say, you know, because you all the villages have banana and mango, and
Right.
it was always citrus, right?
Right.
But, I don't know what the process to changing the festival would be, but I don't see it as much as a bad thing to change it to something like that, a cultural fest,
Yeah.
because one thing that we both agree on is that what Yigo is really known for, and not the rest of the island, is land shelters and farming.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly, that's what we're known for.
It's not one thing.
Lots of
It's
the
everything.
ranches up
You know,
here.
all of that stuff comes from Yigo. You
So,
know.
to have that and have it.
And we have many community members that have tracts of land in the Chamorro Land Trust that are already doing that. The conceptions can come out and make presentation booths on what they do. Piggery, right? If you have a piggery, you
Department
know,
of
something that
Agriculture
ag can come out.
Yeah.
It's just the possibilities obviously are endless, you know.
So maybe next thing has like a farmer's fest, right? So
Yeah.
maybe we would,
There you go, Farmers Fest.
Farmers Fest.
like how in the States too, they have like their county fairs. And
Yeah,
they ribbons
yeah.
and the big
That's
pig
exactly what I said. The biggest pig, no?
Yes.
The biggest
What do you call
cow.
that? Farm to table.
Yeah.
And then you have the biggest pig. The you know.
So, you know, talking about that, so I had a conversation with one of the students, and the subject came up about greasy pig. You know, and they're like, what's that? You know, so, you know, even that we don't know.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, those were
Yeah.
our time.
And then lastly, I mean, I don't know if you've been keeping track of the new Pope, right? But this is a signal, the Pope is a signal back to the traditional Catholic, you know, kind of upbringing, right? And teachings, right? So in this cultural thing, we bring the signers from the church, you know, because back in the day, the center was the church. The center of the village really was the church.
Yes.
And everybody came to church and prayed together. So maybe this can also be a resurgence into the culture. We can bring the tetzes back. We can, you know, reintroduce that. And I'm pretty sure the Chamorro language division of DL Paris and Chamorro language up at UPI and Chamorro language, right, can grab a hold of this in our schools, because we have the biggest public schools up here in the north, and really take the lead there and coordinate that, right? So, and then bring back the coconut candy, because when I went down there, that was one of the things I love, is you got to look and see how to make the coconut candy, or, you know, and you got to bring some home. I mean, that was a very tactile learning experience for all of us. And So, but those are my ideas, and I'm happy to talk with people and of course, be a part of the planning process. Yeah.
And a lot of kids don't even know how to make rice over the stove. That's essential when typhoon comes, right? Seriously, can't make if you don't know how to make rice over the stove.
No.
you're in
Kids
trouble.
nowadays make rice by calling the Chinese restaurant.
Jesus, ooh.
No, they got the microwave one, dude.
Yeah, the one that you just pop in the microwave.
Ouch.
Yeah, so, if any of you, again, would like to take the lead in any of these events, please.
Can we nominate?
I already volunteered
Okay,
to
yeah.
help out.
I move that we nominate Kat to spearhead for February, right?
That's the Yigo Fiesta, right?
Is that where we're targeting
February is
No,
I had intended for us to do it in a month that isn't occupied
Yeah.
yet because
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
August,
so
September.
maybe
August,
yeah.
September's
Yeah,
not
we don't
on.
have anything in
Yeah.
August, September, so.
So-
I'll be good too because it's 6 months from the fiesta.
Right, because the fiesta is already such a big thing
Yeah.
that we need to
Yeah.
focus on it and centralize it. But if we do it, and I think it's perfect, like around the end that time of the year,
Yeah.
August, September would be perfect, and it gives us more than a year to plan to sit down.
And
But,
coming up with events
yeah.
and the name, and then, like you said,
Yeah.
start circulating what we're gonna do here in
Yeah.
Yigo, what we're gonna be known for.
Maybe I can, anyone else, I can start like a monthly meeting, start out right now, and just have a monthly meeting, and let's pour our ideas together, and let's make a plan for coordination for the logistics, right, and timing, right, and all of the advertising. I mean, the whole thing. You know what I mean? And I'll be willing to work with anybody. Vice, I know that you're very motivated about this. You're passionate about it. So I'll meet with you and we'll get something started, and we'll some members of the community that we can tap into, right? And say, hey, just come and sit down and
Well,
talk right now.
One big member of the community is GVB.
Man, they're gonna need they need help in terms of marketing Guam,
Yeah.
right? So that
No,
we
but
can
I
get
mean, they
visitors.
like to sponsor village things. I know
So
they did that for Denver.
I know before, they
We know
would,
regions.
give a family who was having a fiesta, because they would have these tourists, so they would give them funding to help support
Right.
their event.
So they can bring in the tourists,
Bring
right?
the
Yeah,
tourists,
that's
yeah, so
exactly
I
what
don't
you
think they
want.
still do that.
I went to one last year in Dededo at Lentu Park, and they brought, it wasn't at a family, but they had it at Lentu Park, I think it's called, the one there by Santa
Yeah,
Barbara.
right.
And they bussed in the tourists,
Yeah.
but it was open to the public,
Uh-huh.
so that to make it more interactive between it's not just gonna be all tourists there.
Yeah.
Because that's just Wednesday night market if you think about it.
Yeah, right.
What they wanted is the tourists to intermingle with the locals.
How
Yeah.
a fiesta is really done,
Right.
right?
Another thing
And that was paid by GVB.
Another thing that came to mind is, because the gym, if we're looking at a place,
Mhm.
the sample field, because it's more centralized.
Yeah.
The only problem is the parking.
Parking.
Yeah,
Parking.
that's the only thing, is the
Yeah.
parking.
And that's why I support, Mayor, your Chico complex idea, the plan for that, because that's going to be of the future where we can eliminate, like problems like that with the complex, right? So.
What if we just had access to the land, and if we could just start maintaining, the thing we're trying to get behind the swap,
So, with regards to that, we kind of got wind that GPD is also, looking to.
Angling for it?
Yeah.
A northern
Profiting?
precinct?
No, I
No,
don't know
separate
what
from
for.
No, you already have a bill
Yeah,
before the legislature for
exactly.
what you
So,
need, and yet you're.
I'm trying to schedule a meeting with Chamorro Land Trust, because now that they have a quorum. At
Mhm.
the time, they didn't have a quorum, so
Yeah.
I couldn't meet with them.
Yeah, now they
However, I
have the
did
3
meet
members,
with
yeah.
Gus Appleby from Vice Speaker Tony Ara's
Yeah.
office, because he's the chair for land.
Yes.
And I had mentioned to him our desire of getting that property.
Yeah.
So we did meet with, they did meet, the following week with Tomorrow Land Trust, so I just have to give them a call, to schedule a date to meet with them. Now that they have a forum,
Yeah.
so, yeah, I'm gonna look into, doing that, next week, at the earliest.
And
So-
we have a guy there already, right, at Jamal Land Trust, so he's on our council,
So, yeah.
Joey, yeah.
So, yeah,
And then
as
we're
far
all supposed
as
to be there
maintaining the
pretty soon.
property,
Work on
I don't
that.
wanna put all that effort in and then we don't get the
Exactly,
property.
yeah, right,
Yeah.
right,
I mean, it'll be nice if they say, okay,
right, give us a right of entry and then, you know,
and then,
we'll
if you
maintain it
maintain
and-
it, then we'll,
yeah,
we'll give you the property, but I don't wanna maintain it and
And
then
then-
it goes to somebody
then-
else and all the effort that we put in and,
Ugh.
you know.
I have a question in terms of like the venues. You know, growing up, they used to have a lot of events at the old amusement park. Is that still a venue that's open for use? I'm assuming it's privately owned, but
mhm.
Yes, so my understanding, I know that that belongs to Pangasinan.
Yeah.
However, the business is there, the furniture store, the
Laundromat.
auto
Ace
Um,
on board
yeah.
and the Japanese car.
belongs to Rivera.
Mm.
He was in the process of, I guess, purchasing
Purchasing.
the laundry.
Right,
Yeah.
so it's,
So, I don't
Consolidating
know
it.
if that went through, unfortunately, he passed away. This, last week, I
Thursday?
believe, Thursday?
Yeah.
Friday, he passed away, and so, I don't know who now is, overseeing the property, and I don't want to, right now, I don't wanna, yeah, the wife
okay,
especially.
yeah,
But yes, that area is an ideal place because the parking, you know.
That's right.
and then even, you know, when we go to like concerts or events, they would like lock up
Yes,
one way or the
yes.
other.
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, but I was just wondering why I haven't seen any.
It's the warehouse behind is also being leased to them for their Japanese car one. And there's a bunch of stuff back there now. Google Maps shows that I don't know when this was updated, but and based off when I went back there recently, there's a bunch of cars back there because they have a car business. So their
Yeah.
warehouse in the back, and then the Ace Auto Port, and then it looks like the concert grounds on the left side have containers
yeah.
and other stuff. So I don't think it's something that would be available soon without, you know, significant work on their side. So I don't think that's something that would be available to us right away. But that's, I mean, it's a huge property.
Yeah. Well, we can come together with a plan and see what stakeholders can bring resources, right, that can assist if we approach the family, you know, for this, or the property owner for this. Yeah, so we'll get all of our ducks in a row, and when they've given them time to mourn and you know, kind of get back to a sense of normalcy, you see.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so, again, if any of you would like to spearhead, hey, you're more than welcome. You're more than welcome. We'll be here to support you.
Yeah. Give it a try.
Okay, any questions? No? Okay, so moving on to old business. Item A, the Easter event, April 12th.
Sorry,
Uh,
Mayor,
first
I
of
have to
all-
excuse myself. I have something to take care of. Thank you, council members, okay?
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank each of you for your donation and, you know, your support. It was a great turnout. In speaking with Ms. Valencia, who is the principal, the egg hunt there was a first ever. And initially it was supposed to be at DL Paris, but because of course their playground is condemned. And thinking of the area up that way, we don't see many of the kids coming out from there. So I figured, okay, let's bring it closer to them, especially because they had the the Gil Baza, the Amlani subdivision, all those areas up there, which is, it was a good turnout because, again, the kids that go to school there were there. Although we saw some other kids from other areas, but again, that was the first time ever having it up at that area, which I thought was a good idea because, again, the kids who don't come down this way from that area.
Did you find the eggs? Where you said the plastic eggs somewhere in the office? Did you find it? No.
Oh, yes, yes.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, we had more than enough eggs. So we tried to collect them back. You know, as the kids were coming to claim their prizes, we were trying to collect them back, but of course we didn't get all of them back. But, you know, still, the kids enjoyed it. They had
Yeah.
fun.
That's good.
There was a lot of prizes, and, you know, for the most part, it was about the kids.
Yes.
So, thank you guys for your donation, your, you know, the prizes, the refreshments. We all, the kids enjoyed it. Moving on to,
I would also thank the Yigo Mayor staff. You guys did like so much. It was amazing. I know Rin did a lot, you know, preparing for it. Everybody really did. So
Yes.
going out, it was a really, really good event. Thank you guys.
yes, okay, thank you for that. Yes, the staff was there from beginning to end and also preparing the night before, and the days before, but it was a success.
And the rabbit.
And the rabbit, the Easter bunny, who was one of the staff. So, moving on to the 81st Liberation. I know we did a call out for candidates. Unfortunately, we got turned down.
Oh, sorry.
But it's okay because
I'm not Yigo yet.
So, the council meeting that we attended, there is 4 candidates and a potential 5th one. I don't know if there was any more than that. But last week, Friday was the deadline to submit any applications. It was extended, so we did our best. We tried to
Get a representative.
yes, I even posted it on the Yigo chat, calling out those who are interested, but, no interest. But hopefully next year, we get a candidate. However, we do anticipate participating in the parade with a float. So again, I'm still looking for someone to design the float. If anybody has anyone in
So just wanted to get some more information. Like the main thing is just to figure out the size of scope of work. Right? If we can provide the size and time frame, just so we can kind of figure out if it's possible. If it's possible for them to donate their time to assist with the build. Also, I know a lot of the materials are going to be. Most of the materials are usually donated, right, or sourced out like natural materials.
Yes. So I know we have some lumber already
Okay.
that we can utilize. If there's anything else that we would need, we would have to procure that
Through the
as soon
donation.
as soon as possible. Only because turnaround time with some of the procurement that we submitted has been over a month. Yeah.
Yeah, and probably not the same anymore, but I remember the Liberation Committee used to give a stipend to the villages that wanted it, but since they're not fundraising anymore, there's no money.
No money.
Mhm.
No money. So with the float, we would have to procure or
Get a sponsor.
get a sponsor or even get donations if we
Okay.
want to procure the materials or using natural. The theme is Panomi tomorrow.
so the main thing is just if I could get so I can kind of get a final answer. It's just the size of the trailer and then the time frame for the trailer to build and you know, if we-
So, I would say, the trailers are what, 40?
So what, 40
I think
feet,
the-
is it
I think
40?
they were talking about, one of the mayor's council meetings, there was like a discussion whether or not there should be categories, because some people choose 20, some people choose 40. But I think like maybe 40 is like,
it's especially for the size of the village, right?
Yeah.
Because they really do categories for business, like that's government flow.
Village.
because some of the other villages, they like to opt out because they don't want to do a 40 because that's
Yeah.
too big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, you know,
I remember, I think it was 2 years ago or last year, they opted just for a trailer as their float, yeah. I don't know how we're gonna fit everything that, you know, and the name of the liberation of one trailer, but,
the
20,
theme of Beach Mall, that's really broad.
yeah, yeah,
Mm.
And it's not
yeah.
Did,
So-
was there specific? I mean, from Nugget Chumar, was there something specific that we wanted to emphasize on as far as what we're looking at? As
a bunch of Chihuahuas standing up.
that's what I was thinking. You know, like, hey, we could just walk by beside the float, you know, and have people standing on the float, or have a bunch of people on treadmills on the float walking on top of it.
It's so broad.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and that's the reason why I'm asking if there's anybody who knows how to design a float based on the theme and, yeah.
I can try to put something. I'll chat GPT this and then
As I was gonna say, AI.
let me just adjust my parameters a little bit. I should be able to provide something at least on the chat within the next few days, and then try to figure out like if they're interested in coming in and helping us design it at least. And they would just be designing it, and then we would just build it, or
And then, yes, if they come up with the design, it's a lot easier for us to do the
execute
float by
it.
just following like what the late kid groups will do. He'll,
Yeah.
draw his design, okay. How
We
is-
have a footprint to start
Right, this
with.
is a footprint, you follow this footprint and we're good.
I can definitely work
So,
with that. I can
yeah.
provide something.
Because if you're gonna ask me, I
That's not my department.
yeah.
I don't have
Something
an
maybe
artistic
we can look into
bone in
for,
my body.
design purposes, right? Maybe like Chihuahuas through the years, you know, like Yigo, and so like one of the guys at the maintenance guys was saying, good representation would be a guy standing up barbecuing on the trailer, right? But we don't have to go that far, but
I think that's always been a Chigo one.
We've
Yeah.
done that.
All
Yeah.
the have that.
Yeah, in fact,
but
the
you know, to start from like, you know, someone who's down the road to somebody up to the Chihuahuas of today, right? They would show like artistry.
with that, I mean, we could even go with we can go back to like local heroes, right? People that have given their life for you know our country or you know Yigo. We can start with you know Chigwin massacre, and then we can go with you know modern times up to the latest you know Yigo residents that passed you know during military service or something like that. I don't know how to put that on a float, but I mean we can try to do something like that.
So, one of the things too is when we do the float, there has to be some kind of script of what your float entails, describing your float. Yeah.
Chat GPT.
that's-
Perfect. Cool. No,
Yeah,
yeah, we can definitely. I mean, I'll do my best to put something together sooner than the next meeting, and then maybe I can put on the chat for us to kind of see it, and then by the next meeting we'd have
Just work off of that.
a tentative design that we can work off of. Yeah, I'll volunteer for that.
Okay.
Actually, you know, one thing that the only thing it's separated from the village, right? The village is known for the racetrack, and there's a lot of auto enthusiasts in the village, right? So I mean, but the only thing is they have a separate part of the parade, you know.
They already have their separate
Yeah.
shot.
Right.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's just one of the ones that, you know, that's kind of
One thing
close
that I
us.
wanted to try to incorporate was we did a cow trailer on top of it, put a cow, but man, it's too long, too hot.
So the old Yigo trailer had a second trailer, and that was the barbecue trailer.
Yes.
And they used to use the barbecue trailer. So, I mean, we don't have that crew, you know, to put that together anymore. But that's, I mean, as far as, I mean, we could try to get a second trailer and and then just put like a watering system, you know, battery powered, you know.
So, I know you mentioned about, what is it, cow?
Yeah.
So, cow carabao, okay, so previous floats, during, anyways, there was a kid incorporated a carabao, and that was made with wire.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember the one that was in the front.
Yes, yes. Well, the good news is Yigo inherited a carabao, so it just needs a little fixing up, and we can use that, you know.
Okay.
So, we don't have
I
to go
just saw a
far.
live one over here. From Lodge Street.
We don't have to
For
go
quotes.
far. We
That's
have
for
a,
quotes.
we have a carabao that we can, fix up. If it needs a little fixing, then we can use that for float.
Okay. And if it was nighttime, it can be easier to trick with a whole bunch of lighting, you know. But
Yeah.
daytime, like it's just
Yeah.
the natural stuff. Like I remember us is the coconut leaves, the weaving, the flowers.
And that's one thing too is, they prefer natural resources. Yeah, so that's another thing that we have to take into consideration is using natural resources. So,
Do we have a source of coconut trees for leaves in Yigo anymore? Because I know in my area there's no more. Yeah.
so, for the, building the float, I'd like to say towards the end of June. At least it gives us 1 month, right? We do 1 month. Because, you know, my thing, I always believe if something can go wrong, it will go wrong.
Oh, for sure.
So, you know, we like to take into account those little mishaps.
I think just building like a base, right? Like
Yeah.
just a bare minimum that's gonna give us a float, and then
Yeah. And
going
then
from
we work
there,
from
adding
there.
on to, you know,
Yes,
so
and then we work from
yeah,
there.
so just a simple design that can give us just a float that we can definitely pull off, and then everything else is just adding on. So basically, like we're doing a fiesta, right? So we just need the rice and the meat, and then everything else comes after
Yes,
that. So
yes.
okay, cool. I can definitely try to put something together.
Anything else on this? No? Okay, moving on to item C, the GLUC applications. This is the one that we had on the agenda last meeting. The resolutions were submitted to land management. So the next step would be for that to go to GLUC so the application can move forward. And that was submitted April 21st. Any questions on that? No? Okay, moving on to item D, resolution. I know we talked about a resolution in support of Bill 51-38, and this is a bill that was introduced by Senator Sean Bumatao transferring property to GPD for the Yigo precinct. I know Councilmember Lawrence of Cairo suggested we do a resolution.
I do have a simple draft, I can share it, but, I was thinking to reach out to the senator and ask also when they plan to have the hearing, so that we can have, the most up-to-date resolution when we present it. Because there's also, from what I've noticed in this legislature anyway, they've been doing markups, and so, basing any resolution on what the bill currently looks like, it might be
Yeah.
a little too soon. But I do have a very basic draft that I can send out this evening. But there's also a lot of history behind it that I also wanted to kind of incorporate, like, for as long as I can remember, they've been talking about the Yigo precinct.
Forever.
Yeah, just so long, so I think that would be a nice addition right now what I have is just basically whatever's in the bill, and so. But also YMPC.
Yeah, I've been checking the legislature's website because they don't really update as far as to when the hearing is, but I haven't seen anything on this, so.
I reached out to the senator's office as well, earlier this week, and they haven't given me like a response on like the community markup
Yeah.
regulations. So.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Okay, so moving on to announcements. Any announcements? Any announcements?
Just the one I pushed out earlier about at the Yigo gym tomorrow night, the Young Men's League of Guam is having a
You mean
presentation.
here?
Oh,
Senior Center.
here then, okay.
Uh-oh, you're gonna be like Frank the
I'm gonna be like,
June and see what's happening, what's going on.
Right. Yeah, thanks for that, because I would have been over there. I recently got inducted to the Young Men. I didn't know that I could
Congratulations.
be inducted because I'm not young, but so anyways, it's going to be good information. I talked to Cody Lizama, who is the one that's spearheading that, and it's just good information. If anyone has, if you're not busy or
Yes, they did their presentation in the Mayor's Council last month. That was last month. And boy, did I tell you, I was like, just how good is Chamorro speaking. Man, I was ashamed.
Is he like Pac-Man? Tandem? Barry?
well, the presentation tomorrow is going to be in English,
Yeah.
but yeah, Cody came a long way. He was an adult learner. He was a non-speaker, and then but nowadays you can't tell.
Yeah,
You won't be able to tell. You would think that he.
like he's been speaking Chamorro like forever. Yeah. But yes, that's tomorrow here.
Okay,
at
here.
Senior Center. Yes.
Good.
Okay. Also, again, CDBG DR community briefing is next week, Thursday, 6 p.m. at the Yigo Gym. They have one tomorrow at the legislature, and Tuesday, May 20, at the Haga Mayor's Office Community Center. So these are the 3 dates. Tomorrow, next week Tuesday, and then next week Thursday. So next week Thursday, 6 p.m. at the Yigo Gym. This was placed on the Yigo chat as well. And then May 24th, we received this flyer. It's a boat safety education, free rides for the children. Admission is free. This is for Saturday, May 24th. It's a community water education engagement detail. Seaweed. First trip is at 8 a.m. Second trip, 10:30 a.m. At the Hagatnya Marina. So this was posted also, this is posted on the Yigo chat. And then I believe there's one at the office as well. So it's free for the kids. And then Senator Parkinson's office emailed me. They would like to conduct a town hall meeting. This is regarding statehood, but this is not until next month, June 21st. I don't know, they're still looking at using it for this date, but we will get back to him tomorrow to find out if there was any flyer or brochure that they're going to hand out for that meeting, so that we can post it on the Yigo chat. So all these announcements, and I just take it and I post it on the Yigo chat, so that the people are aware, but also posting on at the office. I know the one for next week, Thursday, I'm going to have one of the staff make copies and post at various locations, especially at the businesses. This is for the CDBG DR community briefing. You know, we want to get as much people out, this is the opportunity for them to have, if they have any questions, as far as what qualifies, what doesn't qualify, I wouldn't know. That would be up to Hua to answer your questions. So we will post the posters up at the various locations as well. And that's it. That's the only announcements I have.
I have a question. Do we have a Facebook page for our council or our Yigo?
Yes, we do.
What is it?
It's YMPC.
YMPC?
Oh, Yigo.
Let me pull it up real quick.
Yigo MPC.
I can put it on the chat.
Oh,
Okay, this is it, right? This is it?
So,
Super simple, yes.
yes. So if you have your friends and family to like the page, we're trying to reach 100.
Either 100 or 60 days of the count, and then
Okay.
we can finally go live.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're almost at the 60, hopefully, but at least if we can
So
get
come
100.
next one would be past our 60.
I gotta double check too. The initial, it doesn't give me a timeline here.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if we get 100 likes, and then just share the page with your contacts,
Mm-hmm. That's everybody on my softball team. 25 said like it now.
So the Mango Festival was mentioned earlier. It'd be good for the council members to go down and observe, see how things are running, make contacts with the vendors, that way when we eventually do ours, that we can have their contact information.
So the Mango Festival is
20,
the 3-day weekend.
yeah,
The
23,
Memorial Day
24,
25,
weekend.
yeah.
Yes. So,
That's agate, right? Agate.
yes.
second visita.
Okay.
And it's really nice, actually. We've been there several times, and although it gets pretty hot, but I enjoy it. It's just walking around, and you don't have to buy anything. Just walk around and
Check it out.
check it out. So that's for the Memorial Day weekend.
I have a quick question. Going back into the new business, are we voting on that today, or is there something that we need to do today?
So I know this one here, the new business, because it didn't require the hearing. If you'd like, we can vote today, or we can postpone it to another.
Is it a must that we have to vote on it?
They need it for us,
Yeah,
for
and
their
the
process.
and the only reason why is because of the resolution we have to submit as far as where the council stands on this, in order for them to proceed.
I don't think we should wait, only because the thing is already there. I mean, it's not like they're gonna build a new structure or whatever, it's there, they just need to divide the power among themselves. That's basically what it is, right? I think we should just vote on it now, since we heard him.
You still have a quorum?
Yes, because
Oh, yeah.
Lawrence came.
So, what it is actually the family that purchased the property, already that structure was there when they purchased it.
Right.
Yeah, it was built from the previous owner. So, again, it's just going into compliance with the zoning.
Also the area too, there's like fourplexes, there's
Yeah.
multi-unit apartments down the street. So it's definitely that type of area, and we're not introducing something new. And then it's the most important thing, at least for Yigo, right, I always look at is it's a sewer connection, right? If it was a septic-based connection, then we could have some issues, on occupancy, but I think it's just a formality nonetheless. Like,
Well, I motion that we take a vote. We vote on the what is that? The zoning zone change application tonight.
Okay, is there a second to that motion? Okay. So,
To vote.
so, on the motion to vote on the resolution, those in favor, please raise your hand. Those opposed? Okay. Ayes have it. So, I will prepare the resolution, hopefully by Friday, no later than Friday, again, because we don't want to postpone this. This was something that was submitted since February, I believe, or January to GLUC. So, I will prepare the resolution and get it out to land management.
We don't have to sign it, right?
No.
Okay.
However, I will provide you guys a copy if you'd
Oh,
like.
yeah. I mean, like you've always said, it's there, the structure's there,
Yeah.
whatever is there.
Okay. Any questions? No?
Before we adjourn, can I propose the next meeting date?
Okay.
Proposing Wednesday, June 18th. That's 5 weeks out, so I'm assuming firefighter people will be off schedule. So it's usually like every 2 weeks, so if it's 5 weeks, it should be good.
Oh, I repeat, okay.
Okay, Councilmember Frias. So I know, let's see. Oh, okay, so that's just a week after
Yeah.
our second, so the motion to schedule our June meeting for June 18, on the motion. Anybody want a second?
I second it.
Okay. Any objections? No? So ordered. So our next meeting will be June 18 instead of June 11.
Okay.
That works because that's the day we come back from Japan. So,
Yeah, it works for me. I'm coming back too, but the week before that, so.
You know what? Let me check my.
I
I was like, wait a minute. Why does this thing sound so familiar?
Okay, so
Okay.
any more announcements? No? This meeting is adjourned. Any objections? No? So ordered. Thank you guys.
United's having a mileage sale, by the way. It's 25K to go to Japan.
Yeah, we got to book by this Friday.
they have to
Oh.
take over for the